Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Polish American Heritage Night at Jimmy John's Field. My name is Rich Borland, and in just a moment, my partner for tonight's broadcast, Mr. Stephen McDonald, will join me. Not only is it Polish American Heritage Night at Jimmy John's Field, but it is our Dave & Buster's Thirsty Thursday at the ballpark. $2 12-ounce Bud and Bud Light products are being sold throughout the park all night long. As we look on to this fifth weekend here in the USPBL of 2018, we've seen a lot of good action. The biggest highlights thus far have been Jack Hranick's 12-game hitting streak to begin the season. There was a non-public game on Tuesday where the Unicorns beat the Beavers 6-2, but Hranick did go 1 for 4 with his third double of the season that drove in his team-leading 10th RBI. As for the Mammoths, they are coming off of a loss when yesterday the Hoppers won by a score of 3-2. The Hoppers were up 3-1 heading into the final frame when closer Torrey DeShazier allowed his first earned run of the season after allowing 2 walks, a hit by pitch, and then a balk that brought in a run. He managed to then strike out a batter and cause 2 pop-outs to retire the Mammoths to earn his third save of the season. As we look on to today's game, both of these Western Division foes have some ground to make up. The Beavers have lost 7 of their last 9 games, which is something Chris Newell and the 2017 USPBL champions are not quite used to. For the Mammoths, they started the season off 0-2 against these Beavers, but have lost their last 2 to the Hoppers. In between those 2 sets of losses, they've had a 5-game win streak in between, with a record coming into today's game of 5-4. As far as our pitching matchup goes, we feature 2 starters looking to sharpen up their game and the numbers in the right direction. It'll be Travis McQueen of the Woolly Mammoths and Mark Seiler of the Beavers. For McQueen, he's coming off of his 2nd loss of the season. The good news is his 1 victory on the year came against these Beavers back on May the 27th. In his last start, in that start, he went 5 innings while allowing 2 earned runs on 7 hits. He allowed 3 walks but had 3 strikeouts in the game. Overall on the season, he's making his 4th start, and in his first 3, he pitched 13 1/3 innings while allowing 8 earned runs on 19 hits. He's given up 7 walks and struck out 8 batters in the process. His counterpart on the bump tonight will be Mark Seiler of the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. Seiler comes to us from Agora Hills, California. In his time with the Beavers, Seiler has made 3 starts and 1 relief appearance thus far in 2018. His ERA sits at 6.75 through 14 2/3 innings. In that span, he's allowed 11 earned runs on 15 hits, and he's relinquished 10 walks to 8 strikeouts. To dive into this pitching matchup a little more, I'll send it over to my broadcasting partner for tonight's game, Mr. Stephen McDonald. Stephen, welcome.
All right, thanks a lot, Rich. So I'm going to start with the Beavers' Mark Seiler. He's going to feature 5 pitches tonight: a fastball, a curveball, a slider, a changeup, and a sinker. He says his go-to pitch is always the slider or the sinker when he's ahead with 2 strikes in the count. I'll switch over to Travis McQueen for the Mammoths. He will also feature a fastball, curveball, slider, and a change. He says his go-to pitch will be the slider or the changeup, depending, and his game plan for tonight is to attack the hitters and stay down in the strike zone as much as possible.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about this starting lineup for the Beavers real quick before we get into tonight's anthem.
All right, you got it. So leading off for the Beavers and playing right field is going to be number 12, Ryan Smith. Batting second and playing second base tonight, number 22, Thomas Rulis. Batting third and playing first base, number 25, Jack Hranick. Batting fourth and playing left field, number 8, Rob Pauler. Batting fifth and playing third base, number 18, Christian Helzel. Batting sixth and playing catcher, number 9, Hunter Wood. Batting seventh and playing shortstop, number 11, Skylar Mercado. Batting eighth and playing center field, number 15, James Batley. And rounding out the Beavers lineup tonight is going to be the DH, number 5, Daniel Oliveri.
Good stuff right there, Steven. So Beavers coming into tonight's matchup 5-7. Mammoths on the other end at 5-4. These 2 teams getting ready for action here as it's once again Polish American Heritage Night at the ballpark, and it looks like we're just about ready to get underway with, I believe, both the Polish national anthem and as well as our American anthem. So we will send it down to the field for both of those, and when we come back, we will have first pitch coming to you live here from Jimmy John's Field in the great city of Utica, Michigan.
Marsz we honor America and our military with the singing of our national anthem, performed this evening by Jenna Farley.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes in bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Great job. Let's give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Both the Polish and American national anthems being played right there for you, as it is not only Polish American Heritage Night, but Thirsty Thursday here at the ballpark on this gorgeous 7th of June. We have the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers and Westside Woolly Mammoths coming to you live here from Jimmy John's Field. One more time, let's run through this starting lineup for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, starting off with the right fielder, number 12, Ryan Smith. Batting second, number 22, the second baseman, back in a game after missing the last few for the Beavers, Mr. Thomas Rulis. Batting third, the first baseman on that 12-game hitting streak to begin the season, number 25, Jack Hranick. Batting in the cleanup spot and left today, number 8, Rob Pauler. Batting fifth, the third baseman, number 18, Christian Helsel. Batting sixth behind the dish today for the Beavers, number 9, Hunter Wood. Batting seventh, the shortstop, number 11, Skylar Mercado. Batting eighth, the center fielder, number 15, James Batley. And then rounding out this Birmingham Bloomfield Beaver lineup, number 5, Mr. Daniel Oliveri. And then as we're just getting ready for our action here, let's tell you a little bit about the man on the bump, Mr. Travis McQueen. Travis McQueen coming to us out of Moseley, Virginia. McQueen on the season, a 1-2 record with a 5.40 ERA through 3 starts. In 13 1/3 innings pitched, he's allowed 8 earned runs on 19 hits, 7 walks to 8 strikeouts with a 1.95 whip. And then let's tell you the defense behind him as we're just getting ready to get underway here. From left to right in the outfield, it'll be Jake Barbie in left, Thomas Fiesel in center, Ethan Whisker in right. And then from left to right in the infield, the man that you saw making a tremendous top 10 catch in center field a couple of weeks ago. He's over at the hot corner here tonight, Mr. Drew Kitson. That's a first for him here in 2018. Moving from what he normally plays third base, now over at shortstop, is number 1, Mr. David Kimbrough. At second base, your everyday second baseman for the Mammoths, number 2, Mr. Jalen Lawson. And then over there at first base, number 22, Brandon Cuddy. Behind the dish is number 25, Jackson Smith. First pitch here at Jimmy John's Field at 7:03 p.m. It is a beautiful 81 degrees. So McQueen working early here. Smith on the first opportunity he saw, tried to pull the bat back, but the ball made contact with it. And then he looks at a ball right there to even the count up at 1-1. The last time these two teams played back on June the 1st, just 6 short days ago. Smith in that game, 0 for 5 with a strikeout. So trying to get on the board and get on base here is the leadoff hitter for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. 2-1 pitch, fastball outside corner, called strike by our home plate umpire. Like I mentioned, it'll be Smith, Rulis, and Hranick to begin the night here for the Beavers in the top half of the first. And look at that nasty breaking ball from McQueen. Gets away from the catcher, Jackson Smith, but he does a good job not only to find it, but then to throw that ball down over there to first base and, of course, outside of the baseline as well. Nice job by Brandon Cuddy to direct his starting catcher. 1 up, 1 down here for the Beavers.
And a nice pitch there by Travis McQueen. Ahead in the count. Really brought that breaking ball. Looked like it might have been a curveball there. Right on that inside part of the plate. Really jammed the hitter, Ryan Smith, there.
So Smith goes down via the swing and the miss, and now a guy who doesn't do a lot of that standing in. That's, of course, Mr. Thomas Rulis, the 2017 USPBL batting title champion. Rulis had actually missed the last couple of games for the Beavers. I heard it was a possible concussion scare, but looks to be just fine is Mr. Rulis, so really good news there, not only for him, but, of course, for this Birmingham Bloomfield Beaver team as Rulis on the 1-1 pitch swings and misses right through it. But I mentioned in that pregame show how the Beavers have lost 7 of their last 9, and Rulis missing the last about 4 games for these Beavers, a part of that reason. But how about this stuff we're seeing from Mr. Travis McQueen? Swing and the miss from Thomas Rulis, quickly 2 up and 2 down via the swing and the miss.
Yeah, McQueen just burying the fastball low and away there to Rulis. Got him to swing and miss. Really kind of made him look silly on that swing there.
So some deceptive stuff early on here for Travis McQueen. You see him ready to go against the toughest bat that he will face in this entire lineup all night long. But look at that. First pitch swinging is Jack Hranick. Out there in center field is Thomas Fiesel. He ranges underneath it to make the third and final out. 3 up and 3 down for the Beavers to begin this one. We head to the home half of the first. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald on the call here with you tonight. So if you're just joining us, Travis McQueen, the starter for the Westside Woolly Mammoths, a near-perfect start to his night. He strikes out 2 of the 3 batters that he faces on just 10 total pitches there in that first frame. Let's talk a little bit about his counterpart on the bump here now for the Beavers, number 21, Mr. Mark Seiler.
Yeah, so I want to take you back. We just, these past couple days, had the MLB Amateur Draft. I want to take you back to 2015. That was the year that Mark Seiler for the Beavers was taken in the 19th round of the Amateur Draft by the New York Yankees. But we are having the honor of seeing him pitch here tonight for us.
Seiler with these Beavers so far in this 2018 season. He's making his 4th start of the year, 5th overall appearance. He's got an 0-1 record with a 6.75 ERA, so wants to bring the numbers down a little bit, and part of the reason those numbers are where they're at, 10 walks to just 8 strikeouts through 14 and 2/3 innings. He's allowed 11 earned runs on 15 hits, so kind of a little bit of everything for Mr. Seiler as far as hits and walks go. But he gets a good start here against a good hitter in Thomas Fiesel. Second pitch of the at-bat, rolled over and grounded to the shortstop, Skyler Mercado, for out number 1. So talk about a story standing up to the plate here now, Mr. Jalen Lawson. Lawson, who had been batting in about the 6th spot here in this Westside Woolly Mammoth lineup throughout the entire year through these first 4 weekends. But you see him up here now batting in that 2-hole as he looks at a called strike to begin this at-bat. But Lawson, through the first 4 weekends, leads the team with home runs and RBIs, has a little bit of speed to his repertoire, and it's part of the reason he's locked and loaded in this 2nd hole. If a guy gets on base like Thomas Fiesel, the man who bats ahead of him, could mean anything for these Westside Woolly Mammoths, because Lawson can really do it all with the bat. If he wants a gap shot, he can do that for you and get an extra base hit, or he can leave the yard when he wants to, as he has done that a couple different times so far this season. Twice, in fact. Good enough for the team lead for these Westside Woolly Mammoths. That 0-2 pitch from Seiler, high and in on Lawson. He tries to skedaddle out of the way of it, but it makes contact with that piece of lumber. So he remains down in the count here, 0-2. And then look at that nasty breaking ball in the dirt. Seiler with a good job right there, forcing Lawson to chase after something nowhere near the strike zone. 2 up and 2 down here for the Mammoths to begin their first at-bats of the night.
Yeah, normally you see with 2 strikes, you're trying to protect the plate, swing at anything close. Right there, he just got Jalen Lawson fishing on one way out of the zone.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of working ahead of these hitters in the counts, because I remember in Seiler's last start, that was the exact opposite of the story he was trying to tell. He had thrown 3 walks to 1 strikeout, but he allowed 6 earned runs on 8 hits. As Kitson hits a high fly ball to dead center field, it looks like we're going to end the first inning the same way we ended the first half of it. A fly ball to dead center field, but a good job from Mark Seiler to get a strikeout and also a 1-2-3 inning. A quick start to this one. We head to the 2nd. We're still scoreless. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Steve McDonald here with you. It'll be Poller, Helsel, and Wood, the 4, 5, 6 hitters due up for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers to begin this top half of the second inning. Mentioned Travis McQueen, the man on the bump for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Just 10 pitches through the first frame. He retired the Beavers in order with 2 strikeouts and a flyout, and it looks like he will continue on here in this one. Poller on the 0-1, ground ball over to the left side of the infield. Easy play there for Mr. David Kimbrough II, who's shifted a little bit over to his right compared to where he would normally be, or excuse me, to our right, his left, as Kimbrough, for pretty much every game he has started with these Westside Woolly Mammoths, has been playing at the hot corner, but the big shift is he's now over at shortstop here tonight, and then the man who's been roaming center field through these first 9 games for the Mammoths, Mr. Drew Kitson, standing over there at the hot corner at third base. Meanwhile, Christian Helsel stands in, looks at ball 1 to begin this at-bat. McQueen, back to work he goes. Breaking ball, doesn't hang in there late enough as it misses the zone inside. Helsel, back on that June 1st game against these Westside Woolly Mammoths, he went 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, but this ball's hit high into that left center gap. Looks like it'll be trouble, and it'll be off the wall at the track, and it'll be a nice stand-up. Oh, take it back. That was a good throw into second. Helsel comes in with a sliding double with 1 out, and the Beavers have trouble brewing with a man in scoring position.
And so far early on in this one, both pitchers really working their tempo fast on the mound, really getting ahead of these hitters. That was the first batter, I believe, so far in this game that we saw the pitcher, Seiler, get behind there. Just left one right over the plate, and he got all of it.
So Helsel takes advantage of the 2-0 pitch, and I'll tell you what, like you said, working ahead in these counts, it's clearly proving pivotal as Helsel was ahead in that count 2-0 and drove that pitch deep into that left center gap. This one goes down the right field line. It stays just fair for Hunter Wood, who's rounding first and heading to second. The 2 men on the bases trade places. Helsel comes in to score. Wood goes into second. Back-to-back doubles for the Beavers. Have them up 1-0.
And that was a good piece of hitting there by Hunter Wood. Seiler tried to throw him one inside. Just turned on it, got it down that first base line, just tucked it fair.
Yeah, that was about as close as you were going to get to being a foul ball. Nice call from the home plate umpires. He was right on that line. First pitch now to the next batter, Mr. Skyler Mercado. Just misses the zone. Skyler back on that June 1st game against these Mammoths. Went 1 for 3 with a strikeout and a walk. Does have a base open there at first, but if you're McQueen, you're going to go after him here. Mercado batting just .214 through these first 12 games with the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. Beavers coming into today's matchup 5-7. Losers of their last 7 of 9 as Mercado chases after the 1-0 offer, and the count evens up at 1-1. Through the season series, these two teams playing in their 6th game. Mammoths lead the series 3-2 and have outscored the Beavers coming into today's matchup 27-22. So pretty even series thus far. Mammoths just with a little bit more of an edge as Mercado is now down in the count here 1-2. As McQueen is trying to retire Mercado here. He's given up back-to-back doubles after retiring Rob Poller with the initial ground out that started this second inning. 1-2 pitch, fastball just missing outside. Saw Jackson Smith try and hold that frame, but home plate umpire says otherwise, so the count evens at 2-2. Infield, outfield for the most part at normal depth. Lawson creeping at second base, goes back to his position, and Mercado on that breaking ball gets some wood on it, fouls it off over our heads here in the press box, so we'll do it all over again. Like I mentioned, in our 5th weekend here in this 2018 season, as we're officially in summer mode here in this 2nd weekend of June. Both of these teams in the Western Division trying to keep their seasons chugging along. Coming into today's action, we got, like I mentioned, the Beavers and the Mammoths, both with 5 wins. Mammoths a game and a half ahead of them with just 4 losses compared to the 7 for the Beavers. Then in the other division in the East, the Eastside Diamond Hoppers on a 6-game win streak. They're 7-3 on the season through their first 10 games. And then meanwhile, the 2016 USPBL champions, the Utica Unicorns, at the bottom at 4-7 on the year. But the beauty of the season, not only is it still early, but when it's all said and done, each one of these 4 teams will, in fact, make the playoffs. Mercado, meanwhile, on the 2-2 offer, tries to hold back, realized it was a strike. That bat just kind of stuck out there. The ball rolled right to Jalen Lawson on a line, and he retires Mercado for out number 2, but moving up 90 feet closer into scoring position is Hunter Wood with James Batley coming up to the plate.
And Skylar Mercado in that last at bat, getting a ton of breaking balls there from Travis McQueen, both the slider and that curveball that he features.
And McQueen on the first pitch. It is swung on by Batley. This one popped up very high over to that left side of the infield. And over there is Kimbrough, the second. And he retires Batley on the first offer that he sees. As the Beavers get 1 run, we head to the home half of the second. They lead it 1-0. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. Westside Woolly Mammoths trailing the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers by a score of just 1-0 as we are through an inning and a half. It'll be Ethan Whisker, Brandon Cuddy, and Tyler Pagano due up for the Mammoths to begin this home half of the second. Ethan Whisker on the season batting .364. Good enough to lead this team, not just in batting average, but 11 hits as well. Both good for the team lead. And I'll tell you what, something about this Ethan Whisker fellow, he's one of the youngest guys in the USPBL, but he also has some of the most promise. I was actually talking with Evan Trout, the head of data operations and analysis here at the USPBL, and we were talking a little bit about, as you know, we're through a couple of weeks into this season now, we're getting more familiar with some of these names as Whisker looks at the 1-1 pitch for a called strike, count 1-2. And Evan was talking about a couple of different names, and he said that Whisker's got some of the most promise. The hometown kid out of Clio, Michigan, has done a tremendous job, not just at the plate, but out in the field as well throughout the season for the Mammoths, and it'll only be a matter of time before he gets his name called up to the next level. But nothing doing on the first at-bat of the night for him. He chases after the next pitch and finishing up that strikeout. Hranick makes the play at first. And one up, one down here for the Mammoths in the home half of the second. So now it'll be Brandon Cuddy. Cuddy on the season batting just a mere 152. You'd definitely like to get his numbers up. Cuddy in the last game against these Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, he was batting in the 3-hole spot, went 1 for 4 with a run scored on a walk and also had a strikeout. Looks at the first pitch of the at-bat, misses outside. Seiler in his 4th start of the season, and in those starts he had not made it past the 5th inning. He's looking okay to start this one through the first frame. He had retired Fiesel on a ground out, Lawson on a strikeout, and Kitson on a flyout. 3 of the best hitters on this team. And then the best one, Ethan Whisker, to start off this home half of the second, struck out. So a really nice start for Seiler to begin this night against the Mammoths, who are just cruising so far this season. This one hit on a line out to left field. It'll be a tough play for Poller, and in fact, he won't be able to make it. Rounding first and getting into second base, standing up, is Brandon Cuddy. Nice piece of hitting right there with 1 out to the opposite field. That'll bring up Tyler Pagano with 1 on and 1 out.
Yeah, good job there by Cuddy. Got ahead in the count. Got a pitch up in the zone that he could turn on and rode it out to left field over the head of Rob Poller.
Yeah, and that we mentioned it. Poller out there in left field. He actually wasn't projected to start this game in left. He was actually projected to start at second base tonight, but a late addition, Thomas Rulis, we mentioned, had that concussion scare last week or the week before, but he was ready to go coming into today's action apparently, and manager Chris Newell, of course, putting him in as he should if he's healthy. Rulis, of course, with great numbers as the batting title champion last season, and he's continued it here in 2018 when he's been healthy. Pagano, meanwhile, down in the count here, 0-1. Seiler with a couple of looks over to the base runner, Brandon Cuddy. This ball hit hard over to the left side. Over there at shortstop, Skylar Mercado thought about trying to get the lead runner as Cuddy did a good job. That's a situation where you got to decide right away. You either got to break towards third the second that ball is made contact with when it's hit to the left side of the infield, and he did just that. No hesitation, gets him into third base, and that was a good at-bat from Pagano. You know, he grounds out, but it was an effective out as he does, in fact, move the runner. So 2 outs, a runner on third, and now Jake Barbie will stand in, the left fielder here for the Mammoths today.
And both shortstops so far in this game keeping themselves busy. That was the 4th ground out over to short between the 2 teams.
So we talk so much about the hot corner, but sort of that middle infield hotter than the corners to start this one. Barbie, meanwhile, stands in here. Batting average below 100 to start the year. He's getting mixed around a little bit at catcher as well as in the outfield. Haven't really found a home for him just yet on the season, but no matter where you can play in the field, you got to be able to hit here in a professional baseball league. And Barbie's going to have to try and find some open spots in that field if he's going to want to keep seeing his name in the starting lineup here. Went 0 for 4 back on June the 1st against these Beavers when he was batting in the 8th spot. Batting in the 7th hole here tonight with a great opportunity as he's ahead in the count here, 2-0 with the runner on third, but the 2-0 pitch, fastball outside corner, called for a strike, count 2-1. Seiler behind in the count, 2-1. The shadows playing a role here as it's covering home plate, but the sun is still shining on a majority of the ballpark here today. The only part covered in shade really is right around the batter's box, home plate, and a little bit down that first and third base lines. But outside of that, every fielder with the sun in their eyes, and Barbie has worked the count 3-1 in his favor. Got to be careful if you're Seiler here. 3-1 pitch, fastball. Barbie looked like he was ready to offer at it, but that one just missing the zone, and he works the 2-out walk. So runners now at the corners. David Kimbrough II comes up to the plate.
And back in the first inning, I mentioned the tempo that both pitchers were trying to set really worked for them in the first inning, got a lot of quick outs, kept their pitch count low. Here in the second inning is kind of a different story.
Yeah, Travis McQueen, who threw just 10 pitches to the 3 batters back in the top of the first inning. He threw 15 in the second and allowed that RBI double off the bat of Hunter Wood. And now here in this home half of the second, Seiler, as we keep tabs here on him, he's now at 22 pitches. Kimbrough down in the count here, 0-1 to begin this at-bat. Yeah, it took Seiler just 6 pitches to get through that first 3 batters in the first frame. As that 0-1 pitch, really nice fastball, high and inside. Kimbrough was looking to swing. He did, but could not get a good part of the piece of bat on it. And because of it, he's now down here 0-2. So you got runners on the corners, Seiler with plenty of options to choose from. We talked pregame about how that slider was his go-to strikeout pitch. Let's see if he brings it here. Fastball, called strike 3. Runner was trying to take second, but the inning will finish at the plate. Kimbrough goes down via the look for the 3rd and final out. That's the 3rd strikeout of the night for Seiler. Beavers out in front 1-0 as we head to the 3rd. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Right into the action we go. It'll be a tough play for Lawson. The ricochet off of Travis McQueen's glove almost proved costly there for the Mammoths, but what a heads-up reaction there from Jalen Lawson. Ground ball hit hard right back up the middle. It ricochets off of McQueen's glove, and Lawson, who was ranging towards the middle of the field of play, has to backtrack and retreat back towards the first baseline. Stops the baseball and retires Oliveri for out number 1. It'll go down in the books as a 1-4-3 putout. Now back to the top of this Birmingham Bloomfield order we go, and Ryan Smith over 1 on the night with a strikeout. First pitch thrown to him here in this second at-bat. Fastball that misses outside. Count 1-0 on Smith. Smith on the season batting .227. He's 10 of 44. But in that leadoff spot for the Beavers, he's got 2 home runs and 6 RBIs so far this season against McQueen. He's batting .600. 2-0 pitch. Contact is made, but that pitch too far inside, and Smith fouls it off out of play to our rights. Absolutely gorgeous night for baseball here in Utica, Michigan. Trying to see the results follow, as it's been a good one so far in this game. And Smith, for the second time tonight, tries to hold back and simply can't. And that just goes to show you the late movement on some of these pitches for McQueen. We've seen that happen 3 separate times here tonight. Twice with Smith, and then once more with Mercado. And I'll tell you what, the stuff that we're seeing out of McQueen has been absolutely lethal. Some of the best stuff we've seen out of his right hand all year long. But as I say that, Smith looks at ball 3. He's worked the count full. McQueen going to have a good one on this payoff pitch, and he will. Fastball outside corner. Smith thought he had ball 4, but that is the second strikeout of the game for him. Second out of the inning here in the top of the third, and now Thomas Rulis, the 2017 batting champion, stands in. Rulis on the season, the man out of New Hyde Park, New York, and Dartmouth College, batting .333. He hits a hard ground ball to the left side of the infield. David Kimbrough, the second, makes the play with ease. Routine grounder to shortstop, retires the Beavers in order in the third. McQueen with just 32 pitches through the first 3 frames. He's looking sharp. Beavers, though, out in front 1-0 as we head to the home half of the third. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here on the call with you. Got Brandon Rothenberg up in the booth with us, working the scoreboard and keeping track of making sure everything goes according to plan. It's the 9-1-2 hitters due up here for the Westside Woolly Mammoths to start the home half of the third. Smith, Fiesel, and Lawson due up here. Smith, meanwhile, he's looked at 2 pitches, 1 for a ball, 1 for a strike. Count even at 1-1. Smith on the season batting .333, 5 of 15 on the year, does have a home run and 5 RBIs. This breaking ball lofted just out of the range of Christian Helsel over there at third base. Smith down in the count now 1-2, but these Westside Woolly Mammoths in that game on June the 1st, they faced off against Cameron McKenzie, hard-throwing right-hander for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. He allowed 3 earned runs on 10 hits, 1 walk and just 3 strikeouts. Not comparable to the first outing he had on the season where he had 12 Ks. He really hasn't been the same since that first start for the Beavers. But Seiler kind of on that opposite trend. Not a great start to the year, but slowly inching and working his way back into the form that he wishes to have. Smith on that 1-2, fouls it off, so we'll do it all again. Base is empty. Everybody pretty much at normal positioning. A decent gap in right center as this ball is lined over there down that foul territory. Actually hit the protective cage that our good old friend Mr. JJ, the field general, of course, our bat dog here at Jimmy John's Field, as he's looking like he's perfectly fine. Might have gotten a little rattled over there, hearing that ball hit his roof of his cage. That ball hit back up the middle, hitting the roof of the glove of Mark Seiler's mitt right there was Jackson Smith. A heads-up reaction play there from Seiler. Retires Smith, the 1-3 putout. Retires the first batter of the third here for the Mammoths, and back to the top of the order we go.
And that was a good pitch sequence there. Those last 2 pitches that Seiler threw went fastball. It looked like in and up by the lettering on Smith. Then goes down and away with it. Got him to ground it right back to him for the easy out.
And look at that. Right on cue, Mr. McDonald. How about that? Back-to-back pitches. Routine grounders. Not routine for a pitcher, but the beauty of being a pitcher, the second you release that pitch, you turn into a fielder, and Seiler has done a superb job in these last 2 pitches. Retires Smith and retires Fiesel with ease. Seiler with just 31 pitches here in this third inning. Both pitchers starting to find a groove as they had a little bit of bumps in the road, both of them in the second inning, with a couple of doubles relinquished. But Seiler trying to retire the side in order for the second time here tonight. It'll be tough doing against Jalen Lawson, who I mentioned, leading this Westside Woolly Mammoth team with home runs and RBIs on the year. 1-0 pitch, swung on. Big cut there from Lawson. Can't do anything with it but foul it off. Lawson, our 1-800-Hanson's player of the game. If he gets a hit in tonight's action, a lucky section will receive a gift card from 1-800-Hanson's.
And Lawson may be our player of the game tonight, but he was our USPBL player of the week not too long ago.
Yeah, Lawson is having a strong start to the season, batting just below 300. But those 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, he's clearly producing. And mentioned earlier on in the broadcast, he'd been batting in the 6th hole coming into this weekend, but he got the opportunity. He's moved up into the 2-hole. But unfortunately, the 2-hole not being too kind to him. 2-hole's given him 2 strikeouts so far throughout this matchup. We're through 3 innings of play. Beavers out in front, 1-0 over the Mammoths. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. To the fourth we go. It'll be the 3, 4, 5 hitters due up for the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, the hometown product out of Ortonville, Michigan. Mr. Jack Hranick with his second at-bat of the night. Coming into tonight's action, he's got a 12-game hitting streak riding to start this 2018 season for the Beavers, but he had a fly ball to center field in his first at-bat on the first pitch he saw. Aggressive here again in the second at-bat. Gets a bad part of the wood on it, and he hits a chopper right back up the middle, and an easy put out there for the shortstop, Mr. David Kimbrough the second. 1 up, 1 down, and Hranick's 12-game hitting streak in limbo here. He's probably going to get another at-bat or two throughout the rest of this one, pending how many runs and at-bats the Beavers can muster up as Pollard looks at a breaking ball to begin this at-bat. Pollard on the night 0 for 1 with a ground out to that shortstop, Mr. David Kimbrough the second. McQueen, meanwhile, I mean, between these two starting pitchers, these guys look like different humans compared to what we've seen from both of them throughout this season. And as I was doing research throughout today, was wondering what we were going to expect out of these two guys, you know, how much of a mental game this great game of baseball is. And if you're a starting pitcher, you know that you're going to go every about 4th, 5th, or 6th day, what have you. And you got to bring all you got when you have the spotlight on you. McQueen as well as Seiler both doing their jobs here early on tonight. Just the 1 run allowed on those back-to-back doubles from Helsel and Wood in the second inning. And outside of that, it has been a miraculous game as far as the pitching matchup goes. Seiler's allowed just the 1 hit through the first 3 frames, the double to Brandon Cuddy, and like we mentioned, just the 2 hits allowed for the Beavers, those back-to-back doubles in the second against McQueen. But outside of those, these two guys are cruising as Pollard looks at the 1-2 pitch, high and outside fastball, evens the count up.
Yeah, and you mentioned before we came on the air tonight, both these pitchers coming into tonight kind of struggling, keeping their ERAs down, but they've done a great job of mixing their pitches, mixing locations, and really keeping their pitch count down. So both guys, I would assume at this point, are going to go pretty deep into this game.
So Pollard on the 2-2 pitch chases after that just disgusting slider thrown by McQueen. And between Seiler and McQueen out there on the hill, I mean, both of these guys' sliders, the biggest part of their arsenal, and it's working tonight against both of these starting hitting lineups. Fastball, meanwhile, starts off Christian Helsel with a strike on the outside corner. Helsel got the night going on the scoreboard, had that double, and then came in to score the only run of the game. That 0-1 fastball misses just high, evens the count up at 1-1. Helsel batting just an even 200 coming into play today. He's 8 of 40 throughout the year. He's batting 500 against Travis McQueen. Not a lot to look at, but decent numbers to begin. As this 1-2 pitch hit over to up the middle, and look at that. Cross the body, up the middle. Nothing new for David Kimbrough the second. That is the count at third. 1-2-3 inning for Travis McQueen. Gets a strikeout and 2 groundouts to the shortstop position here in the top of the 4th. Beavers out in front 1-0. As we head to the home half, you're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. We had the home half of the fourth inning. It'll be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up for the Woolly Mammoths. Starting off with the man out of Wentzville, Missouri, the third baseman for tonight's game, Mr. Drew Kitson. Kitson 0 for 1 on the night with a fly out to Mr. James Batley out there in dead center field that ended the first inning. Kitson on the season batting .258, but he's hot as of late. In the game against these Beavers back on June the 1st in their last meeting, Kitson, how about this? 3 for 3 with a home run, 2 singles, 2 walks, RBI, and a stolen base. Kitson is actually on a 5-game hitting streak as we speak, but as we mentioned, 0 for 1 here tonight, but he's got a good hitter's count as he's looked at 2 straight. Two-seam fastball misses inside, so Kitson, who had been batting in the 2-hole for pretty much this entire season so far, moves down 1 spot. Lawson, like we mentioned, moving up to that 2-hole. Lawson and Kitson both with decent speed, both with some power. They've both shown that they can hit them out. As the 3-0 pitch gets called a strike, brings the count to 3-1 on Kitson. But Shane McCaddy, the manager of this Westside Woolly Mammoth team, trying to figure out what works in what slots, as they've been mixing it up a little bit throughout the season. Kitson, though, looks at the 5th pitch of the at-bat. That one missing just outside, and he records the leadoff walk. That'll bring up Mr. Ethan Whisker.
And a nice at-bat there by Drew Kitson, being patient up at the plate, seeing as many pitches as he could get out of Seiler there, draws the walk.
So Whisker standing in 0 for 1 on the night with the strikeout swinging back to begin the second inning of play. Seiler with 40 pitches, pitch number 41 called strike to begin this at-bat. And tell you what, between Kitson and Whisker, a lot of speed between the two, but if you're Seiler, you're looking to get some hard contact on the ground as he keeps tabs over there on Drew Kitson at first base. But, yeah, in a perfect world, you'd get a ground ball to try and get 2 for 1. But it'll be tough to do with these two guys standing on 2 of the 4 quadrants of the diamond. And you know that Kitson has speed. Seiler clearly knows he does, as he's gone over there back-to-back times now.
And a nice pick down there at first base by Jack Hranick there on the throw over by Seiler.
Kitson already with 5 stolen bases on the year. He's trying to get a good jump, but elects to hold off and remain at first base there. It's tough with not only the sun glaring at your face over there at first base, but Seiler going over to first a couple different times already. It's definitely going to keep the base runners a little more timid over there at first, but see if he gets the sign here on the 1-1. He doesn't. Stays patient over there at first. Would have been a good one to go on, as the catcher, Hunter Wood, has to drop down and block that one. So the count now at 2-0. Whisker with a good hitter's count, trying to get his first hit of the ball game. Mammoths still looking for their first run. It's 1-0 Beavers as we are in this home half of the 4th inning. Little break in the action. Hunter Wood going out there to talk with Mark Seiler. Looks like they were just disagreeing a little bit on that 2-1 decision, but it looks like they're on the same page now. Everybody back at their spots. Sun starting to set here at Jimmy John's Field as you're seeing the shadows from the spotlights shade onto the field. Batley, meanwhile, ranges to his right and has to go back a little bit. That ball hit on a line from Whisker, but a nice job there from Batley to read it, knock it down for out number 1. That'll bring up Brandon Cuddy.
Yeah, not necessarily a bad pitch there by Seiler. May have just caught a little too much of the plate with it as he went upstairs, trying to get a swing and miss there by Whisker, but He took a ride with it to center field, but James Batley, like you said, able to range back and get it.
So Cuddy now stands in, has just a 152 batting average coming into play today, but he's got the only base knock for the Westside Willie Mammoths here in this one against Seiler. Kitson still over there on first base. He's had an aggressive secondary lead after every pitch here from Seiler, but he's yet to try and take the bag. Cuddy, meanwhile, looks at a called strike to begin this at-bat. No wind really here in Utica. The flag out there in center field sitting stagnant, not moving really at all. Meanwhile, keeping tabs on Kitson over there once again is Seiler. Mentioned it's Polish American Heritage Night at the ballpark. Also, Dave & Buster's Thirsty Thursday. $2 12-ounce Bud and Bud Light products all night long. Meanwhile, the ball thrown over there to second base, trying to take it was Kitson, but how about that toss from Hunter Wood? On a line, right on time. That is the second out of the inning.
Yeah, great throw there by Hunter Wood. Perfectly placed right in front of the bag. Skylar Mercado just ranging over, picks it up and really dropped down the tag nicely.
So after the leadoff walk to Kitson, a fly out and then a caught stealing, have retired the first two batters, and Seiler now with an opportunity to retire the Mammoths for the third time in a 1-2-3 respected fashion. Cuddy looks at the second ball of the at-bat. He's ahead here 2-1. This, of course, would be an unconventional 1-2-3 inning, allowing Kitson to reach on the walk, but a really heads-up play there from Wood to retire him at second base. He had 5 stolen bases coming into today's game. Cuddy, meanwhile, on the 2-1, fouls it off to our left into the protective netting. Evens the count up at 2-2. Seiler on the 2-2 pitch, fouled off by Cuddy. That one goes into the netting. A good at-bat thus far as he has seen his pitches. He's fighting in there against Seiler. Seiler coming into this fourth frame had 36 pitches. And here in this inning, as we do a little bit of math here, that is pitch number 13 of the half-inning frame. Breaking ball is hit high and deep out there to right center field, but ranging it down is Ryan Smith. He got a great jump on it to begin the threat, and Cuddy is retired for the third and final out. Nice job there from Smith to use his speed and retire the third batter of the inning. We're through 4. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers out in front of the Westside Woolly Mammoths, just 1-0. That came back in the second inning where this guy, Mr. Hunter Wood, hit an RBI double that drove in Christian Helsel for the only run of the game. Wood, aggressive like most of these guys here have been tonight, swings, makes contact with the first pitch he sees, but that one out to dead center field. Nothing new for Thomas Fiesel. Barely has to move to retire that batter. 1 up, 1 down here for the Beavers. Now Skylar Mercado standing in. The one background story that I always like to bring up from Mr. Mercado, not sure if either of you guys up here in the booth know or not, but it was brought up in the ESPN3 broadcast by colleague Mr. Neil Rule, voice of the Golden Grizzlies and an ESPN3 play-by-play broadcaster here with the USPBL. Mercado, his dad was a firefighter back in New York. Of course, Mercado from the Bronx, and his father gave the ultimate sacrifice back on 9/11. He was one of the first guys that entered the buildings and, of course, saved a bunch of lives before he eventually gave the ultimate sacrifice. And Mercado was just 6 years old at the time, so a tough start, but Mercado has found himself a home here at the USPBL with the Beavers as he was retired for out number 2. But Batley, with the 2-out base knock, hits one into right field, points to the sky as he gets on base and keeps the threat alive here for the Beavers in the 5th. So now Daniel Oliveri will stand in, 0 for 1 on the night. Had a grounder that went a little wacky, kind of played with Jalen Lawson. It was that ground ball hit back up the middle where it was redirected off of McQueen's mitt and over to Lawson. That retired Oliveri for the first out back in the 3rd. But Batley over there on first base, not even having to think about it. That one getting just away from Jackson Smith. Batley with the speed that he's got, that's a no-brainer. He's now moved into scoring position.
And a nice jump there by Batley. Saw that ball hit the dirt, and he just put his head down and got right to second. Didn't hesitate whatsoever. And now he's 90 feet closer.
McQueen, meanwhile, that's pitch number 50 on the night. Called strike on the outside part of the plate by our home plate umpire. Both of these guys really cruising throughout this one. That was McQueen's 50th pitch. Seiler, meanwhile, threw his first 4 frames at 50. So both guys kind of right around where they should be. As far as the ratio goes, right around where they want to be as well. About 3/4 strikes, 1/4 balls. That's really exactly where you'd want to be if you're on point. As Oliveri swings and misses through that fastball. Outside corner. Swung on and missed. The count now 1-2. Beavers down to their final strike here in this 5th inning. The runner on second is Batley. And all he will need to come in to score is a base knock from Oliveri. See if he can put it through. 1-2 pitch. There's that strikeout toss from Travis McQueen, the slider, but Oliveri with a good scouting report doesn't chase after the 1-1 or the 1-2 pitch, excuse me. So the count even now here. There is a base open, so if you're McQueen, maybe throw another pitch out of the zone, force him to try and chase after something. Instead, fastball chopped over there to the third base coach, Mr., of course, the manager of this Birmingham Bloomfield team, Mr. Chris Newell. Chris Newell, been in professional baseball since 1997. He started as a player, manager, and now scout as well. After a successful college career, he played 2 years in professional baseball, won a gold glove in the minors as well, but this ball hit out to left center field. Thomas Fiesel ranges it down, ends up dropping to his knees as he makes the catch. Oliveri is retired via the fly out to dead center for out number 3. They get the one hit, but nothing further in the top half of the 5th. We head to the home half. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the bottom of the fifth we go here on Thirsty Thursday. Got the Westside Woolly Mammoths and Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers going toe-to-toe. It's been a great baseball game thus far. Mark Seiler as well as Travis McQueen doing very well on the bump between the two. Seiler with 50 pitches through his first 4 frames, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks allowed. He's got to face off against Tyler Pagano to begin the home half of the fifth. Pagano 0 for 1 on the night with a ground out to shortstop. Hits a pitch over to the left side of the infield for the second time tonight, this time retired by Christian Helsel over there at third. 1 up and 1 down here to begin the home half of the fifth.
Next up for the Mammoths, the left fielder number 20, Jake Barbie.
So now Jake Barbie stands in. Barbie, in his first plate appearance, reached base safely with a 3-1 walk. But on the season thus far for Barbie, just 1 of 12. Does have 3 RBIs, though, with his 1 hit. So a big hit it was. He's just trying to spread the wealth a little bit. Is the left-hander out of Statesville, North Carolina. A lot of talent across the United States here at Jimmy John's Field as a part of this 3rd season here at the USPBL. Barbie on the 0-1 offer holds off, and the count evens at 1-1 as that one misses the zone. But, Steven, we've talked about it a little bit in broadcast pasts, and throughout the first 2 years here at Jimmy John's Field, 20 players getting selected by major league affiliate teams, and really only a matter of time before the next name is called as Barbie looks at the 3rd pitch of the at-bat. This one missing outside, count 2-1. But I mentioned earlier on in the broadcast how I was speaking with the head of data operations and analysis, Mr. Evan Trout. I mentioned the name Ethan Whisker of this Westside team, a name that has been getting looked at, and as Barbie looks at the next pitch, count now 3-1 in his favor. Kind of wanted to bring up a couple different names that are also getting some looks. A couple of players from the Eastside Diamond Hoppers, Josh McAdams and Tyler Palm. A couple of guys that have done really well throughout the season thus far. And then over on the Utica Unicorns, Spencer Ibarra, Dan Ward, Cody Brown as well. All those guys having tremendous seasons thus far, and the combination of their results as well as their athleticism really propelling them to great high ceilings. Barbie, meanwhile, who I mentioned is trying to get his numbers up, ends up getting walked there for the 2nd consecutive time. And that'll bring up David Kimbrough II. Seiler back to work here, facing off against David Kimbrough II. 0 for 1 on the night is Kimbrough, struck out looking back to end the 2nd inning. He's got an opportunity here with a base runner on in Jake Barbie. Barbie on the season, no stolen bases to his credit yet. Mentioned he was just 1 of 13 entering today's action. David Kimbrough II, on the other hand, 2 of 27, not much better. Does have an RBI on the year, but Mr. Kimbrough II has done tremendous in the field defensively this season, just trying to get those numbers at the plate up. Part of his issue, he's had a lot of strikeouts on the season. Last time he faced off against these Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, he did have 1 of his 2 hits on the season, but did have 3 strikeouts. So a lot of strikeouts on the season so far for the man out of Atlanta, Georgia. He's down in the count here, 1-2 against Seiler. Seiler trying to throw his 5th strikeout of the night. Instead, this ball is going to get just through that hole in between first and second base. Throw over to third. A 1 hop right to Christian Helsel, not in time to retire Barbie. So the 1-out single puts runners on the corners. Jackson Smith now stands in with the greatest opportunity of the night for the Mammoths to bring in a run. Just 1 out and a couple of runners on base. You see Hunter Wood relaying some signs out there to his infielders. Of course, a 1st and 3rd situation, so just communicating with his infielders via body language to tell them where this ball is going to be going if Kimbrough does, in fact, try and get to second base. Kimbrough the second on the season. No stolen bases just yet, but he does have speed and plenty of it. As this ball, Jackson Smith in his second at-bat of the night, sits on a curveball just a little bit too much, and that one goes out of play. Smith on the night, 0 for 1 with a ground out back to Seiler. He had retired both Smith and Fiesel to start the third inning on a couple of comebackers. But what an opportunity here for Seiler to try and get 2 with 1 if he can get a ground ball. But instead, Smith with a big cut, back-to-back breaking balls thrown here to the left-hander. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why go to anything else? If I'm Seiler, probably going to bring another breaking ball in, maybe just a little bit lower here.
Yeah, that last one right on that outside edge of the plate got Jackson Smith to swing right through it for strike 2.
Smith on the season coming into play, 5 for 15. Will he have his 6th hit? It will get down. James Batley with a miscue and a misread as the ball gets past him. Sliding in with tons of wheels is Smith into the bag. That is a single, I believe, with an error as he gets into second base. Kimbrough moves from first to third. Barbie comes in to score. An RBI single for Jackson Smith. Ties this one up at 1.
And I think that was the smart play out there in center field by James Batley, just trying to get his body in front of that ball. Might have just taken a weird hop as it came up on him. Kind of just bounced right over his shoulder, it looked like.
Well, and I definitely understand if, he tries to lay out for that ball, maybe one more run comes in to score if it gets past him on a dive. So he tries to take the safe route. In the end, Kimbrough moves up 90 more feet. That's the only issue with that play, as the error does go up in the books there. So Kimbrough the second reaching third on that error from Batley. Still the RBI single there from Smith. Drove in Barbie, but the threat will continue here. Back to the top of this Westside order we go. Fiesel on the night 0 for 1 with a couple of groundouts. 1-0 pitch, called strike by the home plate umpire. And a situation I wouldn't expect. We have the infield playing at regular depth with Fiesel standing at the plate with 2 runners in scoring position. I'd figure with just 1 out that they'd be playing in to try and get Kimbrough at the plate, as this game has gone on to be sort of a pitcher's duel thus far. You would think that the next run that could come in could be the deciding run of the game, but the Beavers middle infielders electing to play back. Corners are now in, even with that baseline, so the corners will try and make a play at the plate. Middle infielders, though, will have to go to first as they're trying to cover as much ground as possible. Fiesel, meanwhile, on that slider, holds off on the 1-2 pitch. I don't know how he did it, though. That one was very, very close, and it started in the zone, but as it was crossing the plate, drops out of it. Probably a textbook 1-2 pitch there from Seiler. He just couldn't get Fiesel to pull the trigger. 2-2 pitch, hit back up the middle, just past the outstretched glove of Seiler. Rounding third, heading for home. Will we have a play at the plate? No, we will not. Sliding in just safely is Jackson Smith. A 2 RBI single for Thomas Fiesel gives the Mammoths the 3-1 lead.
And right here in this 5th inning, the wheels starting to kind of fall off a little bit for Mark Seiler. Just kind of cruising along through 4. Just getting through this Mammoths lineup with ease. All of a sudden, the stories changed completely for him here in the 5th.
Yeah, Seiler with just 50 pitches through the first 4 frames. He had allowed just the 1 hit, which was the double back in the 2nd inning coming into this frame. But a ground out from Pagano started this off. But then a walk to Barbie, the single from Kimbrough, the single from Smith, and now Fiesel with the 2 RBI base knock. Back-to-back-to-back singles for the Mammoths give them this 3-1 lead. Fiesel, he's running right through the light. Why stop? He goes right to second base with the stolen base. And now a runner in scoring position. Mammoths taking complete control here in the home half of the 5th.
Yeah, and Hunter Wood, the catcher there for the Beavers, might have had a play down there at second, couldn't get a grip on the ball, so he had to swallow it.
Lawson, the batter here, looked at ball one to begin the at-bat. Seiler stepping off, reconnecting here with his catcher, Hunter Wood. Fiesel out there in scoring position. He'll need just a base hit from Lawson to bring him in. Lawson on the 1-0 pitch takes a big cut, makes contact, but not with the good piece of the bat. Fouls it off behind the field of play. But tell you what, Lawson standing in there at just about 6 feet. Not the biggest guy on this roster, but he definitely has some pop to his bat. Mentioned leads this Westside team with 2 home runs on the season. There is a base open at first, and now there might be a base open at second. Trying to take third is Fiesel, but a picture-perfect toss there from Hunter Wood over to Christian Helsel at the hot corner. Retires Thomas Fiesel. He can't believe it, but not sure why there's any argument. That play was recorded with plenty of time. That throw beating Fiesel by a minute. Maybe he thought he got under the tag, as I saw a little shrug from Shane McCaddy, the manager of this Westside team. Maybe they saw something we didn't. Either way, out is recorded at third for the second out, and Lawson still ahead here in this count 2-1. This ball hit high into center field. Batley looks like he's got a beat on it underneath it and makes the catch for the third and final out. But the Mammoths put up a 3 spot in the home half of the 5th. They lead it 3-1 as we head to the 6th here on Polish American Heritage Night. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. Westside Woolly Mammoths put up a 3 spot in the home half of the 5th. Lead it now 3-1 as Travis McQueen working with the lead for the first time here in this ball game. He's looked really sharp through the first 5 frames. He's allowed just 3 hits, the 1 run, 4 Ks, but the biggest mark on the line, no walks just yet for the right-hander. And look at that. Starts off the leadoff hitter of this Birmingham Bloomfield squad, Ryan Smith, off with the ground out to shortstop. David Kimbrough, the second, retires him with ease. Smith on the night, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and that ground out right there. And now Thomas Rulis will be standing in.
And now that we're in this 6th inning, Travis McQueen's got to be happy as he looks up at that scoreboard and sees that he's now pitching with the lead. He's had a really nice game tonight, so now he's being rewarded for his efforts on the mound.
And you love to see that, you know, guys who work their tail off throughout a game, you'd love to see them get the results on the other end of the diamond, and it's exactly what just happened for Travis McQueen. And then on the other end is Rulis. Looks at second straight pitch, called strike 2 right there. You feel for Mark Seiler. He had been cruising through the first 4 frames, and a much-needed start where he needed to get off on the right foot. He did that, but with the one-out walk and then the back-to-back-to-back singles, bringing the 3 runs for the Mammoths. And now McQueen is trying to keep his night going as this ball is hit on a line out there to left field. Easy play for Jake Barbie. 2 up and 2 down for the Beavers. But here's where things start to get interesting, Steven. We got 2 outs, nobody on, and this guy coming up to the plate, Mr. Jack Hranick. Beavers sit at 5-7 through the first 12 games of the year. Jack Hranick coming into play tonight with a base hit in every single one of those games, but 0 for 2 on the night here tonight. So game number 13 starting to play in the mind of Hranick. He had swung at the first 2 pitches, or the first pitch in each of his 2 at-bats, I should say. And that right there, you saw a good job of going with the pitches is McQueen. Realized that Hranick had gone after the first 2 pitches in the first 2 at-bats. He dropped the breaking ball in to Hranick for the first pitch. He holds off on it, brings it back once more, swings and misses right through it. Now Hranick is quickly down in the count here, 0-2. McQueen with the fastball, missing outside. Good 0-2 pitch. Don't want to give too much of that plate to a big fella in Hranick, who's leading this Birmingham Bloomfield team with a .390 average coming into play today. Rolls over that pitch, out of play, foul territory, over to the first base coach of the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers, Mr. Ricky Castro, of course, formerly known as the starting shortstop for the Eastside Diamond Hoppers back in the first 2 seasons. Transitioned into a Beaver uniform has Mr. Castro. Meanwhile, this 1-2 pitch looks like it's going to be enough to stay in the field. Kitson over there in the third base coach's box ends up coming underneath it for the 3rd and final out. So Hranick's 12-game hitting streak in jeopardy. He'll need one more at-bat here tonight, and it's going to be a crucial one as the Mammoths lead it 3-1. So we head to the home half of the 6th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Steve McDonald here with you. Got Brandon Rothenberg doing our scoreboard duties here for us tonight. Kitson stands in, looks at a called breaking ball to start off this home half of the 6th inning. If you're just joining us, we started off with a great pitcher's duel between Mark Seiler and Travis McQueen, but these Westside Woolly Mammoths in their last at-bats getting to Seiler after a leadoff ground out from Tyler Pagano, a one-out walk to Jake Barbie, and then back-to-back-to-back singles from Kimbrough II. Smith and Fiesel drove in 3 runs for this Westside team, gives them this 3-1 lead as we are through 5.5 innings of play. Kitson, meanwhile, looking at 3 straight pitches. This one, a breaking ball once again, drops in the zone for strike number 2. Seiler with 76 pitches here in this home half of the 6th. Got to imagine this will be his last frame unless he gets Kitson, Whisker, and Cuddy retired in order. So the count even at 2-2 against Kitson. Wind picking up a little bit. It's blowing in towards home plate. Kitson, meanwhile, finds the hole in between Helsel and Mercado in that 5-6 hole on the left side of the infield. And Kitson will continue his hitting streak. That's now 6 straight games for Mr. Kitson with a base knock. He reaches with a leadoff single. Mammoths in motion here to start the home half of the 6th.
Yeah, and that was a nice at-bat there by Kitson. Saw a couple pitches, like you said, to start the at-bat. Really was trying to look for the one that he liked the most and got it right there, and he found that hole between short and third and got himself a base hit.
So Seiler having to deal with Whisker now. Whisker on the night 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout, but in the last game against these Beavers, he went 3 for 5 with a triple, a double, and 4 RBIs, 2 runs scored as well. Good enough to lead this team in batting average and hits. Whisker on that 1-0 pitch. It'll be a tough play for Helsel at the hot corner, and just in time, Whisker reaches base safely. Did about everything he could, was Helsel. Stops that ball on a dime, throws it to first. Kranick, meanwhile, over there with a big stretch, but just too much speed for Whisker. He ends up reaching on the infield single. Back-to-back base hits for the Mammoths. Have a couple of base runners on, still with nobody out. Seiler in a world of trouble, having to deal with Brandon Cuddy, who he allowed the first base hit of the game to go to back in that 2nd inning with a double.
Yeah, and a nice effort there by both guys involved in that play. Ethan Whisker with the hit, Christian Helsel trying to field that ball and flip it over to first. Nice hustle there by Whisker getting down that line.
So the threat continues to build here for the Mammoths. These last 2 at-bats, as far as innings go, for these Mammoths, they have done a really good job. And I'll tell you what, Steven, the biggest reason for that, simply the second time through the order. You had a lot of these guys go 0 for 1 to start their nights, but second time around, they've gotten adjusted to Mark Seiler's pitches, what he's bringing to the table, and some of these table setters doing well for these Westside Woolly Mammoths. Cuddy down in the count here, 0-1. Beavers desperately trying to get an out here. It's that ball thrown over to second base. Little daylight action going on between Seiler and Mercado. Seiler, that was a called play where Seiler looks towards home plate, gives one look over to second, and the second that he starts to look back towards home, the shortstop breaks. Pitcher gives it a second and then tries to go over to second base with it. I love the effort there from the Beavers, and it almost paid off in their favor, but Kitson just getting in there safely at second base, stays alive. Meanwhile, Cuddy fouls off the next pitch he sees. He's down in the count here, 0-2.
And you talked about that second time through the lineup here for this Mammoth squad. I think one of the biggest reasons that they found success here in these middle innings is due to the fact that they've seen a lot more pitches than that first time around the order.
You were absolutely right about that. Meanwhile, Cuddy with a line drive out there to dead center field. James Batley didn't have to do much about that to retire him. And first out is recorded. That'll bring up Tyler Pagano, who's 0 for 2 on the night with a couple of ground outs. What a marquee matchup here. Seiler has retired Pagano with 2 ground outs, and he needs nothing more right now than one of those. Could easily get 2 for the price of 1. Kitson and Whisker, both with good speed on the base pass. Pagano, meanwhile, not as much. So if they can get a ground ball, look at that. Right on cue. Line drive into center field. Batley lays out but cannot make the catch. He looks to have hurt his wrist, so that's not a good sign. And a stand-up triple for Tyler Pagano. Drives in 2. Both Kitson and Whisker coming to score with ease. And we talked about that with Batley last inning where there was an error committed on that single from David Kimbrough II. We were wondering about what would happen if he lined out, doesn't get the play, and the ball gets past him. Well, you saw that in full-fledged right there.
Yep.
Whisker and Kitson both come in to score. The 2 RBI triple for Pagano. Biggest hit of the season for him. And that will give the Mammoths the 5-1 lead. And now manager Mr. Chris Newell coming out to the pitcher's mound. Looks like Seiler's night is done. We'll let you know who's coming in to pitch when we come back and also give you Seiler's final line. Mammoths, though, out in front 5-1 here in the home half of the 6th with just 1 out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here with more action. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. We're in the home half of the 6th inning. Westside Woolly Mammoths with a couple of runs already scored. Both of them coming on a 2 RBI triple from Tyler Pagano, who stands over at third base now. Mark Seiler, who had started this game for the Beavers, had done really well through the first 4 frames. Didn't allow any runs on 1 hit, but in the last 2 frames, he allows 5 runs, 4 of them earned. Of course, he is in charge of the runner at third base, so that run total will climb if Pagano does in fact come in to score. The runner on third, just the 1 out. Infielders now in for these Beavers. They cannot afford to let any more runs come in to score here against the Westside Woolly Mammoths. And Barbie on the night, still looking for his first at-bat. He's got 2 plate appearances, but he's reached on a base on balls in each of them. He actually came in to score the first run of the game for the Mammoths on that RBI single from Jackson Smith. But, yeah, just overall a tough ending to Seiler's night. He had pitched really well through those first 4 frames, but like we mentioned, that second time around in the batting order for the bottom of this lineup, Pagano doing his job with the 2 RBI triple. Barbie, meanwhile, down in the count here 0-2. He's fouled off 2 straight. Still down in this count here 0-2. Gorgeous night for baseball here at the ballpark. It was 81 degrees to start, right around 75 here as the sun starts to dip a little bit. The entire field of play now shaded as the lights starting to come on here at Jimmy John's Field. The only part that has sun is the hill out there in right field. Speaking of right field, that one hit out to Ryan Smith for out number 2, but Barbie with the sacrifice fly out to right drives in the 6th run of the game for the Mammoths. Nobody on, 2 out. Pagano comes in. David Kimbrough II standing in for his 3rd time here tonight. 1 for 2 with a single, a run scored, and a strikeout. But trying to get the Mammoths back going here in this home half of the 6th. A man out of Atlanta, Georgia, mentioned he had been a third baseman throughout this entire year thus far, but Kitson, the everyday center fielder for this Mammoth team, over at third for today's festivities. So Kimbrough moving from third to short.
And you look up the scoreboard, David Kimbrough batting .074 for the season here in the USPBL, but not too long ago in his 2 seasons with Delaware State in college, batted .339 there. Also bagging up 25 stolen bases.
2-0 pitch, misses the zone by a mile. He's worked the count here 3-0 in his favor. But yeah, pretty good numbers there for David Kimbrough II. Part of the reason he's, of course, with these Westside Woolly Mammoths here in this 2018 USPBL season. 3-0 pitch, called strike right down Broadway. Kimbrough II, like we mentioned, a lot of strikeouts to start these first weekends here in this 2018 season, but he's trying to turn it around. Had that single and run scored in his last at-bat. Now on the 3-1, fouls one off and out of play. The count now full on the right-hander. Mentioned it's Thursday here at the ballpark, as well as Polish American Heritage Night. Got a giant group from Polish Heritage out there in right field. Kimbrough, meanwhile, on the 3-2 pitch, fouls one off and has really battled here against the pitcher now who's out on the bump. Guess we should probably mention that, Mr. Toriano Fuscardo. Fuscardo on the season with the Beavers, making his 7th appearance in relief. He's got 12 innings under his belt, 12 strikeouts as well. And Kimbrough II on the payoff pitch hits a pop out over to the shortstop, Skylar Mercado, for the 3rd and final out. But for the 2nd consecutive inning, Mammoths put up a 3 spot. They lead it 6-1 as we head to the 7th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. To the 7th we go. We've had 7 runs scored through the first 6 frames. 6 for the Mammoths, 1 for the Beavers. Rob Poller, Christian Helsel, and Hunter Wood to begin the Beavers' 7th try here against Travis McQueen, who's back out for his 7th inning of work. And what a night we've seen from the right-hander out of Radford University. Longest outing of the year. Longest outing before tonight was a 5-inning affair where he got the win against these Beavers back on May the 27th. He allowed 7 hits, 2 earned runs. But what a night we have seen from Mr. McQueen here tonight. Allowed just 3 hits through the first 6 frames. Back-to-back doubles in the 2nd inning have been the only blemish on his track tonight. Poller, meanwhile, looks at the 1-2 pitch in the dirt. Count evens up at 2-2. Poller on the night 0 for 2 with a ground out and a strikeout to his credit. He had been batting in either the 2, 3, or 4 hole throughout the season thus far. That line drive just getting past the outstretched glove of Jalen Lawson and into right field. Beavers need to put something together here in this 7th inning. Poller getting them off on the right foot with the leadoff single to right.
And Lawson down there at second, probably wishing he was just a few inches taller there so he could get up and grab that one for the out. Nice effort, though, by him there. And Poller's on first with a base hit.
Yeah, it's a tough situation there for Lawson. You wonder if maybe he was playing a couple steps back. He might have been able to make that catch, but the game of inches that it is, Poller reaches on the leadoff single, and now Christian Helsel stands in, 1 for 2 on the night. The only Beaver to come in to score here in this game against McQueen. This one in the dirt, getting away from Jackson Smith. Getting into second base with ease on that wild pitch is Poller. Now the Beavers with a runner in scoring position.
That pitch there by Travis McQueen looked like a slider that just got away from him a little bit. Went right through the 5 hole of Jackson Smith. And Poller moves up 90 feet to second base.
Fastball outside corner, called strike 1. Count going to 2-1 on Helsel. Helsel having a much better night against these Mammoths than he did the last time out against them. He was 0 for 4 with the 3 strikeouts, but 1 for 2 on the night with that double and run scored. The 2-1 pitch, called strike, the fastball on the outside corner evens this count up at 2-2. McQueen gives a quick look to Poller at second, comes home with it. Helsel on that breaking ball, fouls it off just in the nick of time. Helsel coming to us from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Of course, the home of the Altoona Curve, Double-A affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Helsel on the 2-2, staying alive, fouling off the pitches out of play, and loving the approach we're seeing here from Helsel. You know, you got 2 strikes on you, and what that entails is if a ball comes in the zone, you got to be ready for anything to protect, and sometimes you're thinking a ball is going to be thrown in the zone, and at the last second you realize that you should probably swing at it, and he does that on back-to-back pitches, fouling them off and allowing him to get at least one more pitch here in this at-bat. Meanwhile, you see McQueen there bringing that front leg up, falling back towards second base instead of coming home with it. Had Poller fooled a little bit, but his infielders were back at their positions. And then look at this. The stuck-out glove from McQueen. Got it on one try earlier on in this game, but right here it comes back to haunt him. And you wonder if that ground ball to Kimbrough would have been an easy double play, but McQueen tries to make it himself, and because of it, ends up actually getting the force out at second base. Or excuse me, I take that back. Poller comes in to score. My apologies. So Poller scores the second run of the game for the Beavers, and it's much needed. Helsel reaches on the infield single. Not much you can do about that if you're the Mammoths. And now Shane McCaddy will be coming out to have a conference with the battery There is an arm getting loose out in that Westside bullpen. Looks to be number 15, Jack Finnegan. Shane McCaddy looks like he's going to keep his starting horse out there on the bump for at least another at-bat here. But back-to-back singles from Poller and Wood, or excuse me, Poller and Helsel drive in the second run of the game for the Beavers. Still just no outs in this top half of the 7th inning. Wood on the night drove in the first run of the game for the Beavers with that RBI double back in the 2nd inning, but another good opportunity here for him to keep the Beaver train rolling. McQueen, meanwhile, trying to get through this 7th inning without any more blemishes. Two-seam fastball missing outside. And the wheel's starting to get a little shaky here for Travis McQueen. He desperately needs a double play here. Got another arm now getting loose out there for the Westside Woolly Mammoths, as well as McQueen takes a gander and a look over there at that bullpen. It's Joseph Mack, starting lefty for this Westside team. He's got 1 start and 2 relief appearances under his belt, but McQueen really trying to finish the job here and go 7 innings strong. Not if Wood has anything to say about it. Two-seamer on the 1-1 pitch, missing outside, but just by a hair. Saw the catcher, Jackson Smith, point his glove to his starting pitcher. Looked like that's the spot that they wanted. Wood just doing a better job to hold off on that pitch. That one in the dirt. Good stop there from Smith, but that one was so far in the dirt. Helsel had elected to go to second base on the first movement and proves pivotal for them. He now is in scoring position, and the Beavers will take really any advancement that they can. As that 2-1 pitch gets away from Smith. Base is open for Wood over there at first. Skylar Mercado, who stands on deck, 0 for 2 on the night with a couple of groundouts. McQueen, fastball, missing high and away, and you wonder if that'll be the night for him. Does put a force out on the base pass. See if McCaddy will let him get one more batter in, but it looks like his night will in fact be done. Second visit at the mound will take McQueen out of this one, and it looks like we will have a new arm coming out to pitch for the Westside Woolly Mammoths, so we'll take a quick break with 2 runners on and nobody out in the top of the 7th inning. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland, Stephen McDonald here with you. Travis McQueen's night is cut just a little bit short of how long he wanted to go. He ends up going 6 innings plus, gives up 2 earned runs on 5 hits, allowed 1 walk, just right there to Hunter Wood to end his night. Did have 4 strikeouts, and now gives way to fireballer, the right-hander, Mr. Jack Finnegan. Finnegan out of Houston, Texas, making his 4th relief appearance of the season for the Westside Woolly Mammoths. First pitch thrown to Skyler Mercado. Fastball at 90 miles an hour, missing for a ball. Finnegan with a couple of looks to the runner at second, Mr. Christian Helsel. Comes back home with the 1-0 offer. Misses the zone here now 2-0. Mercado with a good hitter's count. Mammoths trying to put a Band-Aid on this bleeding here in this top half of the 7th inning, as that ball is rolled over and out of play. But if you're just joining the action here, McQueen has gone 6+ innings strong. He allowed a single from Poller, a single from Helsel that drove in Poller on the ricochet. He had tried to stop the ball that was coming back up the middle, and it goes right into left field off of his mitt. Helsel with the RBI single. Wood with the no-out walk. Runners at first and second still. 2-1 pitch to Mercado, missing low and away. So the count now 3-1. Finnegan, the 3-1 pitch, fastball swung on and fouled off. So big pitch right there from Finnegan. Last thing you wanted to do was walk the bases loaded with nobody out. Finnegan in his 3 outings in relief with these Westside Woolly Mammoths, all 2-inning affairs. Last outing back on June the 1st against these Beavers, he went 2 innings, allowed no hits, no runs, did allow the 1 walk, but had 2 strikeouts against the 7 batters that he had faced. But a big spot right here, the 3-2 pitch, fouled off. Looks like it's going to be enough to stay in the field of play. The first baseman ranging underneath it. Cuddy retires Mercado for out number 1. But still a big threat out on the base pass for the Beavers here with 2 men on and just 1 out.
And Cuddy, the first baseman there, going deep into foul territory there, as we got a lot of room in foul territory here at Jimmy John's Field. Able to get under that one and get our first out here in the bottom of the 7th. Or excuse me, top of the 7th.
Yeah, almost stretch time. Not just yet, but getting ready for it. As James Batley stands in here, 1 for 2 on the night. Had a single back in the 5th inning. Had a scare defensively out there in center when he laid out for a line drive. Ended up not getting the ball. Went down. Looked like he might have hurt his wrist, but glad to see him still in this game. Batley fouling off the first pitch. Down in the count, 0-1. 2 base runners are Helsel and Wood. 0-1 pitch, fastball, outside corner, called strike. Batley thought about offering at it, but holds back. Count 0-2 here now as that one is called a strike. Finnegan trying to limit this damage that Travis McQueen had allowed here in this 7th frame. He was cruising through 6, where he had allowed just 3 hits coming into that inning. But the Beavers slowly trying to inch themselves back into this game. Mammoth still with the 4-run lead, tying run on deck. And if Batley can put something into the field of play, they will be right back in this one. Finnegan, meanwhile, the 1-2. Fastball in the dirt, or excuse me, changeup in the dirt at 84. Good stop there from Jackson Smith. Wind picking up a little bit as it's falling in. Just missing the strike zone right there was Finnegan. That one makes the count full here now. Mammoths trying to get out of this inning unscathed outside of that one run allowed by McQueen. But instead, the payoff pitch will be thrown for ball 4, so Batley loads the bases with that walk. He's reached base safely in his last 2 appearances. Now Daniel Oliveri stands in 0 for 2 on the night with a ground out via the 1-4-3 putout and then a fly out to dead center field that ended the 5th inning. Oliveri out of Miami, Florida. As this temperature drops a little bit here as the sun is completely down now at Jimmy John's Field. Lights are on, wind blowing a little bit, but still really good weather right now in the mid-70s. But the main thing you can ask for, just no precipitation, of course. Bases juice, the count 0-1 on Oliveri as the DH here tonight. 0-1 pitch, fastball missing just inside, evens the count up at 1-1. Finnegan with 6 strikes, 8 balls. Definitely want to get that count switched up, transitioning into more strikes than balls, but there's another ball thrown here, and now you got to pay attention. Bases are loaded. Tying run is, in fact, at the plate. Wind is blowing in. Finnegan continues to hurl. The 2-1 offer fouled off and out of play. Lucky souvenir for a fan down the first baseline. Mention that it is Polish American Heritage Night at the ballpark, as well as our Dave & Buster's Thirsty Thursday. We'll have our Xfinity fireworks presentation tomorrow night as Oliveri swings and misses for strikeout number 1 on the night for him. That's out number 2, and back to the top of this Birmingham Bloomfield order we go. But like I was saying, tomorrow night we will have our Xfinity fireworks presentation. It'll also be Meet the Beavers night at the ballpark. And then Saturday we'll have the Utica Unicorns and Eastside Diamond Hoppers in action. It'll be our WCSX Classic Rock Saturday. The Detroit Doors Tribute Band will be in attendance. It'll also be our Boy Scout Campout night at the ballpark. We'll have a bunch of Boy Scout troops out and about at Jimmy John's Field getting recognized for everything they do in the community. I'll actually be spending the night as well with these kids. I'll be, I believe, in the suites. They'll be out in tents with their pack leaders in the outfield after they'll watch a movie on the big screen after the game is concluded on Saturday night. Ryan Smith, the batter here now, down in the count 0-1, looks at a nasty breaking ball inside on the hands. Just getting over that zone was that slider from Finnegan. He's quickly got Smith down in the count here, 0-2, so trying to leave him loaded is Finnegan. 0-2 pitch. Fastball missing just low in there at 91, but how about this performance we're seeing here from Finnegan? He comes in not an easy situation. Your team's up by just 4 runs here late in the game. He comes in with runners on second and third. He gets Mercado to pop out, does give Batley the base on balls to load him up, but then strikes out Oliveri for out number 2, and he's got Smith down in the count here, 1-2. Tries to get him to chase on that slider down in the zone, but a good job from Smith to hold off on that one. The count now even at 2-2. Finnegan has allowed 2 earned runs on the season in 6 innings. Of course, the runners on second and third would go to McQueen if he does allow them to score. The runner on first, Batley, of course, would go to Finnegan. Fastball in on the hands of Smith. So he has worked the count full. Not an ideal situation if you're the Mammoths here, because if Smith can put one into play, runners will be going on the pitch, and a base knock will easily score 2, maybe even 3, with the speed that Batley has over there on first. Payoff pitch, hit over to the left side, past the diving third baseman and shortstop. Incoming to score is Helsel. Wood rounding third and heading for home. He'll score as well. So 2 runs coming to score for the Beavers. They cut the Mammoth lead in half. Stand-up job there from the leadoff hitter, Mr. Ryan Smith. First hit of the night, and it's a big one.
Yeah, and there's Smith down 0-2 in the count early. Worked it full to 3-2. Got a nice pitch there via Finnegan. Drove it right down by third base there and found its way out to the outfield for a 2 RBI single.
I'll tell you what, Kitson in his first night at third base hadn't seen a lot of action over there at the hot corner. He did just about everything he could right there, laying out to his left. You see him smack the glove right there as 2 more runs coming to score. Those will both go to McQueen, so McQueen's line will end up changing. He allows the 5 earned runs instead of the 2. Or, excuse me, 4 earned runs instead of the 2. Let's try that again. But now standing in is Rulis. Rulis, like we mentioned, the 2017 batting champion in this USPBL. Missed the last couple of games for the Beavers with a concussion scare, but he's thankfully okay. Good sign for the Beavers. But you can tell Rulis not himself just yet. 0 for 3 in tonight's game. A strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out to his credit. Already down here in this one, 0-2. So kind of a feeler game for Rulis as he's back here trying to get his feet wet once again. This ball inside on the hands. He's fought off. Rulis tries to put the ball in play. He can, but because of where that pitch was located, nice job from Kimbrough at the shortstop position to retire Rulis for the third and final out. But the Beavers put up a 3 spot in the home half, or top half of the 7th, I should say. And it's now 6-4, Mammoths out in front by 2. We head to stretch time here at Jimmy John's Field. If you're at home, get up, stretch it out. We'll be back for the home half of the 7th when we come back. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald here with you. Hope you're all stretched out as we head to the home half of the 7th inning. Westside Woolly Mammoths still out in front, but now clinging to a 2-run lead. They had led this one by a score of 6 to just 1 heading into that 7th inning. And then the Beavers put up a 3-spot back in that in the top half of the 7th, excuse me. It'll be Jackson Smith, Thomas Fiesel, Jalen Lawson due up for these Mammoths to start this home half of the 7th inning. Toriano Fuscardo back out there. Retired Barbie and Kimbrough the second to end that 6th frame. Smith, meanwhile, he's worked the count 3-1 now in his favor. Infield, outfield for the most part at normal depth. There wasn't really any wind at the first half of this game, but the last couple of innings, the sun's gone down. The wind is picked up just a tad as it's blowing in. And going to first base is Smith. He reaches base safely for the 2nd consecutive time. Had the RBI single back in the 5th and reaches on the leadoff walk here in this home half of the 2nd. And, Steven, I'll tell you, the two starters, both Seiler and McQueen, were really sharp. Their command was outstanding throughout this game. Both of them started to fall apart a little bit at the end of their days, and these bullpen arms, you know, not necessarily doing what they're supposed to do in this one, as we've seen a lot of runs in these last couple of innings for both teams. Lawson stands in here now as Thomas Fiesel, with that no-out single, puts runners now at 1st and 2nd. And Lawson trying to get his first hit of the night. If I look down our score sheet here, Mr. McDonald, every single hitter in this Westside Woolly Mammoth lineup has a base hit except for Jake Barbie and Mr. Jalen Lawson. Barbie, though, with a really productive night, even though he doesn't have a base hit yet. 2 walks, a run scored, and a sacrifice fly. Lawson, on the other hand, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts and a fly out to dead center. The unlucky mojo of the 1-800-Hanson's player of the game. Of course, if he gets a base hit in this game, a certain section will receive a gift card to 1-800-Hanson's, probably a little discount towards getting your home refurnished with some windows. Lawson, meanwhile, on the 0-1 pitch, breaking ball that misses inside. Good eye there from Lawson to lay off on the 0-1 pitch. Runner at 2nd is Smith. Runner at 1st is Fiesel. Mammoths yet to have been retired here in this home half of the 7th inning. Lawson looks at the ball, brings the count to 2-1 now. If you're just joining us, the Mammoths with a run in the 2nd inning gave them a 1-0 lead. Beavers in the home half of the 5th put up a 3-spot. Home half of the 6th put up another 3-spot, took the 6-1 lead. And then in that top half of the 7th inning, the Beavers with a 3-spot of their own. A couple of singles, a walk, another walk, and another single drove in the 3 runs for the Beavers. So they make this one a ball game as we get a little bit closer to this finale. Lawson, meanwhile, on the 2-2 pitch, chasing after a fastball that was high and away, nowhere near the zone. He goes down for his 3rd strikeout swinging of the game. Good enough for that unfortunate sombrero. He'll have to toss back on in the dugout. Liking what we're seeing here from Fuscardo after the leadoff walk and single. Retires Lawson for the first out via the strikeout, but whole nother world of trouble with Kitson and Whisker due up here now. There is some action in both bullpens. Looks to be Ross Vance down there in the Birmingham Bloomfield bullpen. And then over in the Westside bullpen, it's another lefty, number 24, Joel Sharon, out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Fuscardo, meanwhile, behind the count here against Kitson. Fastball missing inside. Now the count 2-0. Kitson in his last at-bat singled and scored a run. That continued his hitting streak, which is now at 6 games. But in the top half of the 8th inning, we will figure out if Jack Hranick's season-long 12-game hit streak will continue, as he's 0 for 3 on the night. We'll have his final at-bat coming up to start the top half of the 8th inning once the Mammoths are all said and done here in the home half of the 7th. But Kitson, meanwhile, he's looked at 3 straight pitches. None of them have hit the zone, and Toriano Fuscardo in a world of trouble as he's trying to do anything and everything in his power to not allow Kitson to walk the bases loaded. Looks at a called strike there, brings the count to 3-1.
And that was a great pitch there by Fuscardo.
A much-needed pitch is he's trying to not walk the bases loaded. The 3-1 pitch, fastball in the zone, in on the hands of Kitson as he fouls it off, and the count now full on the batter. A little update here in the booth. Stanley Cup Finals just getting underway in the second period. Still all knotted up at 0. Washington Capitals trying to earn their first ever Stanley Cup championship in franchise history. Of course, hockey fans all around the world, all around the countries of USA and Russia, trying to see Alex Ovechkin raise the cup and get the banner raised for the Washington Capitals. But Kitson, on the payoff pitch, records his second walk of the game. Bases are loaded. Ethan Whisker standing in here, the right fielder, 1 for 3 on the night with a single and a run scored. Had a fly out to center field in the 4th and struck out back in the 1st. Fly ball out to right field. We could have a play at the plate. Ryan Smith with the catch, throws it home. Will it be in time? And it will! The tag is made. The runner, Smith, thought he got under the play, but he did not. Out at the plate is recorded. And it looked like he called him out, but he changed his mind. He ends up actually pointing to home plate and saying that Smith got under the tag.
And it did look like, you're right there, Rich. It did look like the initial call was out. Home plate umpire took another quick look in at it, decided to call him safe. Doesn't look like Chris Newell, the Beavers manager there, really liked that reversal of call there as he came out and voiced his displeasure there.
Either way, Smith comes in to score. Pending the final of this one, remember that play right there. Smith comes in to score on the sacrifice fly out from Whisker. Fiesel remains at second. Kitson remains at first. Brandon Cuddy stands in here now, 1 for 3 on the night with a double, a fly out, and a line out. But what a play right there. We thought that was going to be a double play to end the frame. Really great job by Ryan Smith in right field, not only to place himself perfectly under that ball, gets momentum underneath him to get the throw to home plate. It was a near perfect throw. The one hop ends up costing the Beavers as the run comes in to score. Mammoths get the 1 run in the home half of the 7th to take that 3-run lead. Cuddy is retired via the 3 unassisted putout. And we will head to the 8th inning. Jack Hranick's 12-game hitting streak in limbo here as we head to the 8th. Mammoths out in front 7-4. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland alongside Stephen McDonald here for your broadcast. We're through 7 frames here at Jimmy John's Field on this 7th of June. And what a story we have in this at-bat. The day is done for Mr. Finnegan. He goes just an inning, allows a hit, no earned runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. He now gives way to Joel Sharon, the left-hander out of Concordia University. He's out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's got Mr. Jack Hranick down in the count here early, 0-2, and Hranick just 1 strike away and on the verge from ending his 12-game hit streak to begin the season. He swings and misses. I take that back. It fouls off just at the last second. I wasn't sure if that had made contact with just the catcher's mitt, Mr. Jackson Smith, but it did, in fact, make contact with Hranick's bat just in time. But a lefty-lefty matchup here. Hranick trying to keep that hit streak alive. 0-2 pitch in the dirt. Looked good from up here. Just a little bit too early of a break right there out of the left hand of Sharon. Sharon on the season. 2nd year with the Westside Woolly Mammoths. Making his 4th relief appearance of this season. He's allowed actually no hits throughout this 2018 season. In 2017 with the Westside Woolly Mammoths, he participated in 21 games in relief. In the 19 innings that he had thrown, he had a 2-1 record. Also had 2 saves under his belt, allowed the 18 hits in the 19 innings, allowed 18 walks, but had 27 strikeouts and maintained a 2.84 ERA. Breaking ball, hit to the right side, and there it goes. The 12-game hitting streak to begin the season for Jack Hranick, unfortunately, will come to an end here tonight, barring extras. But you hate to see that streak end for Mr. Hranick. We had been talking about it throughout the entire season. And just an unfortunate night at the plate. He goes 0 for 4 with 2 flyouts and 2 groundouts. He records out number 1 here to begin the 8th.
Yeah, tough night for Hranick, like you said. Had one of the highest batting averages coming into today in all of the USPBL.
Highest, in fact.
Oh, highest, okay. And, yeah, just tough night going 0 for 4. But I think this is just a one-time thing probably. I think he'll get back on track soon.
And, I mean, we'll tell you, the combination of McQueen as well as Sharon here, he did not see Finnegan as Kitson's trying to lay out for 1. Love the effort. Nothing short for Kitson to make a top 10 play. Almost had one there as Pollard fouls that one off. Count 1-1 on the batter. But tell you what, Hranick saw a really good pitch in here tonight. The 2 times against McQueen and then, or excuse me, the 3 times against McQueen. And then the at-bat here against Joel Sharon cannot be recorded in the books for a base hit. So the hit streak will end for Jack Hranick. Rob Pollard, meanwhile, looking for his 2nd hit of the night. Singled and scored. He led off the 7th inning. That sparked the 3 runs for the Beavers.
And I think Rob Pollard so far has had a better season than what his batting average might indicate as we look up at the scoreboard out there in center field. 205 average for him. Does have 9 hits, 2 of which are home runs. Also has 7 RBIs, so not bad numbers for Pollard.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he actually joined the Beavers halfway through the season last year. He was college friends with, as he lines a hard line drive out there to right field out of play. But Pollard had actually played against Thomas Rulis in college in their last couple of years, and they became friends through ball. And Pollard wasn't really sure of what he was going to do once he was done with college. Rulis had the connection with the USPBL and honestly brought Pollard along for the ride. And we talked about how Rulis was the 2017 batting title champion last year. That's because Pollard didn't have enough at-bats. He had a better average than Rulis. He was just under the line for at-bats, games played, to technically qualify to be able to have the stats go towards the seasonal record. So good stuff from Pollard throughout his time here in a Beaver uniform, and he's going to try and get his team back here in this game. He's got a lot of 2 home runs, like you mentioned, Steven, but a fastball in on the hands coming in at 90 miles an hour. Pollard can't do anything with it. Foul or hits it down the first baseline and is retired for out number 2. 2 up and 2 down here for Sharon to begin the 8th. Ross Vance continuing to get loose out there in the bullpen for the Beavers. You've got to believe he'll be coming in the 8th inning. Sharon, meanwhile, dealing with Christian Helsel here. Helsel in his 3rd at-bat of the night. Looks at called strike 1 to begin this plate appearance. And right on cue, swinging and missing through the next pitch. Sharon's not messing around here. He's going right after Christian Helsel. 2 straight fastballs right down Broadway. Helsel could not catch up. But a good night thus far for Christian Helsel. He looks at this 0-2 offer in the dirt, nowhere near the zone. Helsel with a double and a run scored. First run scored of the game for the Beavers back in the 2nd. Had an RBI single back in the 7th inning when he had driven in Mr. Pollard.
Yeah, Joel Sharon doing a great job protecting this lead for the Mammoths.
And he gets the job done right there. A 1-2-3 inning for the left-hander. Retires Hranick, Pollard, and Helsel. Not an easy feat as he gets the job done. Mammoths remain out front of this one by a score of 7-4. We head to the home half of the 8th. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland alongside Stephen McDonald. It is Polish American Heritage Night at the ballpark. Also, Dave and Buster's Thirsty Thursday special. Toriano Fuscardo's night is done. He goes an inning and 2/3. Allows 1 earned run on 1 hit. Allows 2 walks. Did have the 1 strikeout to his credit, but he now gives way to number 19, the left-hander out of McKinney, Texas. Fun fact, actually the hometown of the Spelling Bee champion of 2018, coming out of McKinney, Texas. But as far as Mr. Vance goes here in 2018, 6 2/3 innings pitched in 8 relief appearances. He's got a 1-1 record through his time here with the Beavers in 2018. Allowed 6 hits, but 9 walks to 4 strikeouts. Definitely a couple of categories that he will like to switch around. He'll deal with Tyler Pagano to begin this home half of the 8th inning. Pagano looks at ball number 1 and then fouls off the second pitch he sees out of play. Count even at 1-1.
And Rich, I know we talked about before the game today how many players we've had so far in this, our 3rd season of the USPBL, getting picked up by major league organizations. And Mr. Ross Vance was the very first one all the way back in 2016, and now here in 2018 he has found his way back to us.
So clearly not the results Vance probably would have wanted up in the minors, but you know, the fact of the matter is he's still got a lot of talent. Part of the reason he's back here with us in the USPBL and the United Shore Professional Baseball League, of course, first known as a independent baseball league, but everyone here in Utica likes to call it more of a developmental league. We, of course, have the DVS, the Delivery Value System, that our Director of Baseball Operations, Mr. Justin Orenduff, has been working, former Los Angeles Dodgers draft pick, as Mr. Vance will use the DVS to try and get him back to where he once was. He's now dealing with Jake Barbie as Pagano was retired via the 6-3 putout to begin this home half of the 8th inning. Barbie with a great night, yet to have a hit on the evening, but he's got 2 walks, a run scored, and a sacrifice fly out. So he's been involved with 2 runs here for the Mammoths. You could say a big difference maker as the Mammoths are clinging on to this 3-run lead here in the 8th. And, of course, with that 3-run lead, we might head to the 9th inning with that same differential on the scoreboard. And if it is the case, we will be seeing the closer of the Westside Woolly Mammoths, Mr. Gavin Collins, the man out of Camp Verde, Arizona, will come in, barring anything else here in this home half of the 8th inning. Barbie ahead in the count here, 2-1 against Vance. There's that slider that falls right over the heart of the plate. But I'll tell you what, the thing that Vance has that not a lot of other pitchers do, and it's the deceptiveness, his windup, not like others. It's very animated. He goes a lot of side-to-side action. As you'll see it here, he steps back, brings that high leg kick, and it's all really one motion. As that pitch was another slider, just missing outside. Looked as if Barbie might have went around, but first base umpire said he did not. Not like he's going to be able to see if he had crossed the plate or not either way. The only negative fashion of only having 2 umpires here in the league. It would have been a lot easier for a base umpire down the third base line to make that call. Either way, the 3-2 pitch, soft slider is hit over to the right side. Jack Hranick drops down into a goalie protective position, picks that one up on a 1-hop, gives it to Vance at first for out number 2. 2 up and 2 down here for the Westside Woolly Mammoths in the home half of the 8th.
And so far so good right now for Ross Vance here in the 8th. Come out of the pen and get 2 pretty nice outs on ground balls. He's just got to get 1 more here.
Kimbrough the second, standing in for his 4th time tonight. 1 for 3 with a single, a run scored, a strikeout, and a pop-out to his credit. Down in the count here, 0-1. There's that bending breaking ball from Vance. Once again, a swing and a miss from Kimbrough. He's quickly down in the count here, 0-2. Kimbrough the second, trying to stay alive. Backdoor slider absolutely freezes him. He strikes out for the second time tonight on the via the look. 1-2-3 inning for Ross Vance. Retires the Woolly Mammoths in the home half of the 8th. Last opportunity for the Beavers in the top of the 9th. They trail it 7-4. You're watching the USPBL YouTube channel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rich Borland and Stephen McDonald on the call here with you. We're through the first 8 frames. Westside over the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. They're in front by 3, 7-4 your score. Gavin Collins is coming in for the save, the closer for this Westside Woolly Mammoth team. 2 saves on the season, both coming in his last 2 outings. So looking for his 3rd straight save and his 3rd straight opportunity is the man out of Camp Verde, Arizona, the pitcher coming out of University of Illinois Springfield, trying to close the door in this save situation. Joel Sharon goes an inning, allows no runs on no hits, no walks, and a strikeout. Can't really ask for anything more than that. He retired the 3, 4, 5 hitters for the Beavers. Hranick loses that 12-game hitting streak, goes 0 for 4, 2 groundouts and 2 flyouts on the night. Then he retired Pauler with a groundout and Helsel with a strikeout. It'll be Wood, Mercado, and Batley to start this 9th inning for the Beavers. Not only do they need to get runners on, not only do they need to get them over, but they need to get them in. They need to get 3 if they want to keep this one alive. Gavin Collins there to do anything in his power to not let the Beavers get anything across the board here. Collins on the season, 4 innings in 4 relief appearances. He does have a 1-2 record, though. He's allowed 5 hits, 3 walks, but does have 3 strikeouts on the season. Trying to get that 6.75 ERA down a bit. Hard hit ball over to Jalen Lawson, a 1-hopper. He stands his ground, keeps the ball in front of him, and retires Hunter Wood for out number 1. 1 up and 1 down for the Beavers here in the top of the 9th inning. So now it'll be Skylar Mercado, who is also looking for his first hit of the game. 0 for 3 with 2 groundouts and a pop-out thus far in his at-bats today. Mercado, first pitch he sees, misses the zone. The count 1-0. The count 1-0. The pitch in the dirt, nowhere near the strike zone. Mercado looks at a second straight pitch, so the count here 0-2. Or excuse me, 2-0. Getting to that 9:45 time here on the clock. A little tired here as we're getting ready to close this one out. Collins retires Wood for the first out, but Mercado with a good hitter's count. He's ahead here 2-0. Nobody on, one out. Collins kicks, delivers. 2-0 pitch is hit high into that right field area. Originally, it looked like Cuddy was going to make the play, the first baseman, but the second baseman, Jalen Lawson, doing a good job on his part to call off the first baseman, take charge, and end up recording the second out. He's recorded both the first and second out here in this final inning. Why not hit it to him again to record the third? And just like that, the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers down to their final out.
And Jalen Lawson ran a long way out toward that first base line in right field to get that second out of the inning.
Yeah, not an easy play by any stretch. And now James Batley. As the Beavers down to their final out. He started off the night 0 for 1 with a pop out to, you guessed it, Jalen Lawson. But since then, a single and then a base on balls to his credit. Trying to keep this game going for the Beavers. He'll definitely need to get on base here. 0-1 pitch popped up behind our heads here in the press box.
And we documented Jalen Lawson's struggles at the plate tonight with those 3 strikeouts, but he's been all over the field defensively today down there at second base for the Mammoths.
Beavers down to their final strike. Looks like
There it
Batley
is.
went around. Home plate umpire doesn't even need to ask his partner. And Gavin Collins strikes out Batley to end this ball game. Your final score, Westside Woolly Mammoths win this one 7-4 over the Birmingham Bloomfield Beavers. It was a strong started game by both of these starting pitchers. Travis McQueen goes 6 innings plus, allows 3 earned runs on 5 hits. Mark Seiler allows the 4 earned runs on 7 hits through 5 1/3 innings pitched. But in the end, the Mammoths string together all of their 7 runs from the 5th to the 7th inning. And because of it, they win their 6th game of the year. Mammoths move to 6-4. Beavers drop their 8th game out of their last 10. They drop to 5-8. Steven, it's been a fun
rough.
call. What was the final takes from your end on this one?
I think, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, game started pretty fast. Both pitchers came out of the gates hot, throwing a lot of strikes, doing so in very few pitches. But as the game went on, I think that for the Mammoths especially, the hitters started figuring out Mark Seiler there in those middle innings, touched him up for, I believe it was back-to-back 3-run innings, and that's really all they needed in this one to come out with the win.
So the Mammoths, like we mentioned, get their 6th victory of the season. Tomorrow we will have our Xfinity Fireworks Friday. It'll also be a Meet the Beavers night at the ballpark. First pitch at 7:05. We will be on pregame with you at 6:50 right here from Jimmy John's Field. And it looks like that'll do it for our scorer tonight, Mr. Brandon Rothenberg, my partner, Mr. Stephen McDonald, my best friend Josh Gadoshian up here in the booth as he's home on a 2-week vacation from Washington, D.C. My name's Rich Borland. We'll see you tomorrow night. You stay classy, Utica.